What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. I want to take a look at Ohio State versus Illinois, Oklahoma versus West Virginia. But first, hey, look. Lincoln Riley is pushing for the college football playoff spot in 2020 as a 6-2 team. Like, this is wild. All right, the way that this is done is on the call today for the Big 12 coaches teleconference. Riley said the eye test needs to be heavily weighed this season when determining the college football playoff teams due to teams playing vastly different schedules. Also, Texas coach Tom Herman said the same thing. Teams that are playing the best at the end deserve to make it. Throwing out all of this conversation about undefeated teams. Now, this is an outstanding sports talk radio point that I love because this is serving it up to me. Like, the idea that a 2-loss Big 12 champion gets admitted to the college football playoff feels unconscionable today, headed into the first day of Thanksgiving week, as we have undefeated teams all over the top 25. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and count them up. Alabama is 7-0. Notre Dame is 8-0. Ohio State is 4-0. Cincinnati is 8-0. Brigham Young is 9-0. Oregon's 3-0. Northwestern is 5-0. Coastal Carolina is 8-0. Marshall is 7-0. That's like 7. USC is 3-0. That's like 8 undefeated teams among the top 25. So when the college football playoff rankings come out tomorrow night, I'm going to be interested to see whether or not the college football playoff selection committee at the Gaylord Texan is going to buy into Lincoln Riley's play, because Texas and Oklahoma both have opportunities to still make the Big 12 championship game. As a matter of fact, right now, Oklahoma and Iowa State had the best opportunities to make the Big 12 championship game, but Texas gets to play Iowa State this weekend in what I think is the most important and the biggest game on the schedule for the Big 12 this week. If Texas beats Iowa State, they are on a collision course with Oklahoma if Oklahoma beats West Virginia and on to the Big 12 championship game to give us a repeat of the 2018 Big 12 championship game. It would also serve to their argument that they're playing their best football right now, and to the vastly different schedules argument. You've had games that have been postponed. Remarkably, Oklahoma has not been on that list just yet, although we've had COVID cancellation after COVID cancellation. Clemson lost the game against Florida State, right? Not that Florida State's any sort of data point, but right now, you just want to be able to stack wins because, as I mentioned, you have 2 3-0 teams in the Pac-12, one in the Pac-12 North, one in the Pac-12 South, that can collide among the top 25, Oregon and USC. If you have a 7-0 USC Pac-12 champ or Oregon Pac-12 champ, would you put them in ahead of a 9-2 Texas or a 9-2 Oklahoma in the Big 12? I would absolutely say yes. But if you're talking about the eye test, does Oregon look like a world-beating team with their win against UCLA, who we know is bad? No. Does USC look like a world-beating team against Arizona and Arizona State to start the season? No. Do they look like the kind of teams that can win a college football playoff national championship? No. However, we know that you're still going to be having tremendous arguments over this 4th spot because we all basically agree, and that's what the eye test is. Do we basically agree that Alabama, Ohio State, and the ACC champ, whether it's Clemson or Notre Dame, are good and good enough to play in the college football playoff semifinals? However, I sincerely would love to see an undefeated Cincinnati, for you BYU truthers, an undefeated Brigham Young, and for the Sun Belt, who's like, didn't we destroy the Big 12? Didn't we go 3-0 against the Big 12 to put Coastal Carolina in the mix? And you got Conference USA Marshall's like, since when did we get disqualified? We're undefeated. Now, everybody's going to throw in here their Central Florida argument. And I get that, right? We saw this in 2017. Scott Frost, Central Florida goes 12-0. and they don't get admitted to the college football playoff, and then they beat Auburn. Yes, and then you have to deal with UCF claiming, rightfully so, a national championship. So it's really about, do you want to actually entertain that argument? Probably not in 2020, because we're going to be stuck with 4, which is to say we're probably going to end up with at least 1, maybe 2, or even 3 other national champions. So when you get back to the eye test, are you actually just going to put in the teams that you think are the best on the roster on how they played to try to give you the most and most accurate college football playoff national champion? Because let's assume Texas A&M wanted to get in. They'd be like, yo, look, we got 1 loss to the number 1 team, to the unanimous number 1 team in the country. If we were Georgia, y'all would put us in, because that's what they did, right, in 2017. And we ended up with Georgia to Alabama in the college football playoff national championship. What I draw from this as a real conclusion is that the Power 5 commissioners and Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick were stupid to make this a 4-team playoff. Just absolutely ridiculously stupid to do this. You have at least 6 teams that have a claim to being able to play in something like a playoff bracket. You'll only have 2 or 3 that you think can win it. That's fine. That's going to be every year. We had that with the Bowl Alliance before we had the BCS, right? But that's also how you end up with BYU claiming a Holiday Bowl national championship in 1984. Nobody really wants that to happen. I don't want it to happen. I hate disputed national champions. I want to have 1. So that's one conclusion that I can draw from this. The other is they're not going to let Cincinnati, BYU, Coastal Carolina, Marshall into the college football playoff national championship. They're not going to do it. One of the reasons they're not going to do it is because nobody wants to see those teams outside of diehards like me in a college football playoff national championship setting. And nobody with me seems to feel like fair play has to be a big part of college football, because college football has never been fair. It's always been an oligarchy. It's always been the biggest fan bases that make the most money will get the most concern, which is why I think Oklahoma and Texas actually get an argument here based on what we're calling the eye test, because Oklahoma and Texas have tremendous followings. Texas is the most moneyed program in all of collegiate athletics. That includes Ohio State. That includes Alabama. Certainly includes Notre Dame. Notre Dame is in a catbird seat right now because they got that game in hand against Clemson. And we could have an argument about whether or not they're the 4th best team if they lose to Clemson in an ACC title game, in which we could get both of the ACC title contenders into a playoff scenario with Ohio State and Alabama and make it easy on the selection committee by saying those are the 4 best teams based on the eye test. I'm fascinated by this discussion because it really is what you think, not what is. That's been college football too. It's never been what is actually true. It's always been what you think ought to be true. Like giving a 1-loss team a national championship by voting. No. The scoreboard should have something to do with this, right? The scoreboard should have everything to do with this. That is our sense of fair play, right? Otherwise, what are we doing, right? We're saying who recruited the best roster, and we want to see that best roster play, and who recruited the best roster among the blue bloods, right? This is another reason why a USC who is undefeated, even a wimpy USC, has a real opportunity to play in the playoff because of what they've done in the past, because of who USC is in the past, and what USC means to college football at large. Same thing with the new money Oregon. They have lots of money. They're playing great football defensively from time to time. And everybody likes Mario Cristobal, and we feel like Oregon or the Pac-12 champ should have an opportunity since the Big 12 has been given an opportunity. All of this is wild fascinating to me, and I can't wait to see how this unfolds, especially if OU and Texas end up playing in the Big 12 championship game once again, and we get that winner stumping for the 4th spot. Because do you know how pissed off the rest of college football is going to be if the selection committee puts Oklahoma in with 2 losses after what Oklahoma has been in the last 3 college football playoff semifinals? Here for it. Here for it. Let's check the chat. Appreciate y'all showing up at noon. I got a thing that I got to be at like 2:30. So that's why we're going at noon and not 3 today. But if you are catching this on the RJ Young Show podcast, wherever you get your podcast, you right on time, right? You right on time. And I appreciate you. If you're there, please leave a 5-star review, right? Write something in the comments. Let me know what you're doing. Trying to get to 300 reviews on the RJ Young Show podcast. Lindor, what's going on, dog? Brand is in here. Jordan Cobbs is in here. Says, let's go Mountaineers. See y'all under the lights in Morgantown. I mean, all right. The Mountaineers got a shot because, like Oklahoma State going in last week, they have the best scoring defense in the conference. Oklahoma State was giving up 17.8 points per game going into their game against Oklahoma, in which case Oklahoma dropped 41 on their skull. And West Virginia doesn't have the offense that Oklahoma State has, or at least the offensive firepower. You're going to have to get Sam James to hold on to the football. You're going to have to get Lady Brown to go for 150 plus, and you're going to have to get Jared Dagey to actually go out there and try to be about somebody and about something before, I'm actually going to give y'all an opportunity to win this game. Shout out Carson Edward right quick, says, looking forward to your book. I'm looking forward to my book too. I've come across some really interesting details from my book, Requiem for a Massacre. It's about the Tulsa Race Massacre, 1921, and the fallout since and beyond. Thank you so much for that, Carson. To the point about West Virginia and Oklahoma, Morgantown is kind of wonk, right? It's weird, but the last time that I was there, I had fun, right? Dana Holgerson was head coach. Samaje Perine was running over people. D.D. Westbrook was that dude. It's a lot of fun. But I can't give West Virginia an opportunity to win this game. I mean, the amount of things that would have to go wrong for Oklahoma is 5 or 6 deep, right? You got to get 3 interceptions out of Rattler. You got to get a fumble out of a wide receiver or a running back, and you have to be able to get 6 every time you have the ball for West Virginia. Because like Alabama this year, Oklahoma's probably going to put up 40. Okay? If you can outscore them, you can win. Iowa State did that, right? Kansas State did that. You need to be able to run with Oklahoma, and I don't see West Virginia being able to do that, and I certainly don't think that your scoring defense is going to be able to hold a candle, especially after what we saw Oklahoma do to Oklahoma State, which is shred them. Put them in the shredder, dog. Like, I expected Oklahoma State's defense to really kind of show out, like Trey Sterling, right? I like Malcolm Rodriguez, Wagner, Oklahoma, stand up. I saw 8 kids playing high school football at Oklahoma in that game. It's one of my favorite things. But they got destroyed. They got destroyed in the run game. They got destroyed in the pass game. Ramondre Stevenson had 26 for 141, another 54 through the air, damn near 195 yards total offense. That's one dude, okay? Spencer Rattler had over 300 yards passing on 24 pass attempts and 4 TDs through the air, 1 on the ground, right? Like, yeah. So I'm not at all enthusiastic about West Virginia having an opportunity to beat Oklahoma, though I am enthusiastic about y'all closing the gap. Because last year, it was Austin Kendall, and he wanted his revenge, and he ends up getting stomped on 52-17, and the schooner tips over. And the schooner tipping over became the image of 2019 for, the Peach Bowl when LSU just ripped Oklahoma in half and left them dead on the stage. Okay? I don't think that you got the playmakers. I think that Neil Brown is still trying to build what he thinks is the West Virginia that's going to be in his image. I also think that we have to take into account that Oklahoma's roster is full of 4 and 5-star dudes. West Virginia's is not. Jared Dagey was not supposed to be the dude going into the season. He won that job. Good for him. But is Jared Dagey really that dude to dethrone Oklahoma? No. Unless they got another Tavon Austin back there, I just don't see it happening. Like, Jared Dagey's not even what Geno was. And Geno was cold. Geno was cold, but he wasn't the coldest. Geno was cold. So we got some moving and shaking to do. You also are missing some hitters in the secondary. Like, I remember David Long was a dude a couple years ago. You're also talking about, what's Carl's last name? West Virginia fans, help me out. My man ended up with the Raiders. One of the hardest hitting safeties that I've ever seen. Like, dude was just cold. Maybe Doc knows who I'm talking about. Anyway, y'all had some dudes out there, right? You had some dudes at corner as well. I just don't see that this year. And with Marvin Mims and what he's been able to do, along with guys like Jaden Hazelwood, see if he can come back if they ever get Trajan Bridges eligible, which is really getting to be infuriating. What you've seen from Drake Stoops, what you've seen from Braden Willis and Mikey Henderson in light of missing Austin Stogner for Bedlam, get him back. You're also rounding into shape defensively. Oklahoma's getting home. They had 4 sacks of OSU quarterbacks last Saturday to give them 40 this year through 8 games. That's ridiculous, right? They are getting TFLs. They're figuring out how to get takeaways, which was really a bugaboo going into the season and was a bugaboo basically up until things started to turn around against Texas. So you still got some ways that you gotta figure some stuff out there, man. Good luck to West Virginia the rest of the way, but it's gonna be an L to Oklahoma on Saturday. Let's see what else we got in here. Ohio State fan one says, hi RJ. Brand, appreciate you becoming a member. Folks really thought the Pokes would give us a close one. They did. West Virginia don't want none of OU. I mean, they want them. They gonna get them. I'm not talking about the Browns, dog. The Browns beat the Eagles, dog. The Eagles is trash. Okay? The Eagles 3-6-1. Eagles is trash. Stop that. BYU is scared of Washington. Man, look. Okay. So apparently the thing with the BYU is that the BYU is not here for the BYOB. Okay? They don't want to submit to Pac-12 protocols to play a college football game against Washington, only to find out that perhaps they're canceled because of either they don't meet the protocols or Washington doesn't meet the protocols, to which I'm going, yo, Brigham Young, this is your one opportunity to actually make us care about you as a college football playoff contender. You have no good wins on your 8-0 schedule. None. You played the likes of North Alabama and Western Kentucky. No, sir. That's not going to cut it. Not to get in our playoff, son. Sorry. Navy ain't going to get it done for us. Number 21, Boise State. Nah, dog. That's not going to do it for us. You need a Power 5 W. And, you would like to get a ranked Power 5 W. Go get you a Washington if you can, but go get you an Oregon. All right? Go get you a SC. Go get you somebody that you get to hold up and be like, see, we went and we got this pelt for y'all to show y'all while y'all doing this college football playoff selection thing. But if you're dodging Washington, talk about eye tests, talk about psychological tests. I mean, there's only one way to put that. You're going to get called coward. Because that's how it feels. Feels like you're being cowardly about playing in this thing. See, BYU should play Cincinnati to settle the G5 beef debate. Nah, because Cincinnati's got to rank Tulsa on the menu. And Cincinnati has beaten up on SMU, who's good. Beaten up on Memphis, who's good. Beaten up on Central Florida, who's good. They're fine, right? I think that BYU occupies a place in y'all's brains that I just don't live in. I'm not there, right? I can't do that. I don't think that Brigham Young has ever been that good. And I'm not here for the 27-year-old freshman. Alec Kazam says, RJ, love the show, but why everyone wants Clemson coaches so bad? Leave them coaches alone. I mean, y'all took Brent Venables from Oklahoma, dog. So don't get it twisted. We had Brent. Y'all came and got Brent from us. If somebody wants to raid Clemson for their coaches, that's part of doing business. Welcome to how the Blue Bloods live. Welcome to how the big time lives. That's what it's going to be. You and your little 17,000 city hamlet. Chill out with that. Bishop from Newkirk. Hey, Newkirk standing up. What's good, Newkirk? Hey, appreciate that with the keep it up. I'm here for the Newkirk. Yo, I'm one of 8 people that's actually been to Newkirk. I have covered high school football in damn near every county in the state of Oklahoma. In another life, a long time ago. It's where I get my love of the Davis Wolves and their perfection of the wishbone. It's so much fun. Why is TAMU above Florida? Because Texas A&M beat Florida. Hello? That's why. I thought that was obvious. Doc's in here. I appreciate you, Doc. Kali Matrix, the official NCAA selector that legitimized UCF's national championship claim, currently has Cincy number 1, BYU number 2, Coastal Carolina number 5. All right, I guess Kali Matrix is about to crash the RJ Young Show podcast because, let's look at the Kali's bias-free Matrix ranking. 11-22. Cincinnati at number 1. I'm gonna drop this in the chat because like Doc is staying on it. For those of you who don't know, Doc's a moderator on the channel, and 1, he got my back, and 2, he's just the coolest with coming up with this sort of information. Also, Doc is the reason why I ended up entering the Natural Light Beer Scholarship competition that I ended up winning, because he's like, yo, RJ, I think you could win this. It's wild. So Cincinnati at 1, BYU at 2, Alabama at 3, Northwestern at 4. What? 5-0 Pat Fitzgerald's at 4. Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers. Chanticleer. It's okay. I know I'm not the only person that watched Rockadoodle. At 5, Notre Dame at 6 with a win over Clemson. Yikes. Marshall at 7. Miami at 8, who beat Clemson, or who got beat by Clemson. ULL, Lafayette's a one-loss team. They're at 9. Clemson's at 10. Western Michigan's at 11. The MAC is in here. Maction, what's good? San Jose State, the Spartans are in here. Holy crap, Tulsa's at number 13. It's a one-loss team. That's my alma mater. What the hell? Oregon at 14. Nevada at 15. Ohio State at 16. I love these rankings. What are we doing? Wow. West Collie, man. Making it happen. Look at this. Florida at number 17. USC at number 18. Oklahoma State at number 19. Texas A&M at 20. Texas A&M beat Florida. Oh my God. Boise State at 21. Buffalo at 22. Florida Atlantic at 23. Willie Taggart still stunting on Florida State. SMU at 24 and Iowa State at 25. My God. What are we doing with these? This is fantastic. This is fantastic. Oh my. Like, this is fantastic. For those of you who don't know, Kali Matrix was included in the Bowl Championship Series computer models for a long time. I love this. I love this so much. I love this so much because, like, I can understand how you might get there. I can understand how you might get there. But the fact that he did this is remarkable. And he links to how he does the modeling and simulation analysis at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. For those of you that, you know, actually want to take a look at how these things are put together. I, at least right now, don't particularly care because I think that this is all rather fascinating. Just awesome. I love this. So the best game that Cincinnati has played is number 24 SMU, and they're at number 1. The best game that BYU has played is number 21 Boise State, and they're number 2. Like, what? Oklahoma State's best game is against the Tulsa team, and apparently they have 2 top 25 wins in the Matrix, which is interesting. All the way interesting. Like, who is at 26? Georgia's at 26! Yes! I love this! What are we doing? For those of you that want to know, Oklahoma's at 30. I don't particularly care. It's a 2-loss team. Good God, man. Texas is at 35. Liberty's at 34. This is great. This is outstanding. Whatever. Let me hold on. Texas Christian is 73. Who's at the bottom? Vanderbilt's at the bottom, 0-7. Okay. Goodness me. And then you got the FCS groups that are the Arkansas's at 77 above Hawaii, UCLA, Minnesota, Wyoming, Charlotte, West Kentucky, and LSU. Good God, man. This is awesome. Doc, appreciate you dropping the Kali Matrix in here. It has made me feel so good. Y'all should go check that out just for your own giggles and your own entertainment because college football is wonk and stupid, and this is wonk and stupid but awesome. Let me see what else we got in here. Let's see. Can we expand the playoff this year? We could, but we won't. We won't. Like they made that pretty clear. Like, I do ESPN Radio on the weekends. Saturday game night, we did a 6-hour show. I'm not kidding. I was on the radio for 6 hours doing national radio, talking about college football, NFL, even UFC 255. And along the way, Heather Dinich and Brad Edwards joined the show. And I got to ask them both, like, who do you think gets in? Who do you think is not going to get in? Heather Dinich is basically college football playoff reporter at this time of the year. And there's been no movement on expanding the playoffs since like September, when Larry Scott asked that they consider it, because the Pac-12 wasn't going to start the season until November. They feel like they get boxed out, and they would. And everybody else in there was like, "Nah, son, we're not going to do that. It's going to be 4 teams." And like, I think if they wanted to expand it, ESPN would be all for it, because ESPN, like literally everybody else on planet Earth, has lost money. And growing the inventory is going to be the best way to recoup that money, which is the other reason why I believe we're going to see the expanded playoffs, if not next year, the year after. To 6, probably, but I would love to see it just go to 16, because I want to see those bowl games actually mean something. And I'm here for home and home games, like for home site games. I also would love the idea of playing a 10-game conference schedule that leads into your playoff situations, where you get your 4 games to get your national champion. I think that's going to be fun. And I've made this video in those segments like 87 times, and I'll probably continue to keep doing those, because I think your 8-game playoff sucks. I think your 6-game playoff sucks. Let's see. Nobody wants to play the Sooners. I mean, Iowa State and Kansas State wanted to play them. Sam holding back Texas from an offensive scheme point. Maybe, but it ain't like he ain't got, Casey Thompson back there. Anytime that they wanted to throw Casey Thompson in there, you can see how the other half lives. Let's see. I think OU just needs a solid bowl win to have some solid momentum and confidence heading into next season. I'm not even there yet, man. I don't particularly care to talk about the bowl game, especially presently. Like, it's a pandemic. I don't know that you can take anything from this season and call it momentum. I mean, surely the team that wins the national championship is going to call it momentum. But, like, the thing that I am really frustrated by right now is the idea that there's going to be a Coastal Carolina, a Marshall, a BYU, a Cincinnati that runs the table undefeated, and we're going to try to invalidate their national championship in the coming years because of the pandemic, which I think is going to be wrong. If anything, it's a more difficult national championship to win. The idea that you could play 10-plus games in this season and not lose any of them is just remarkable to me. And if you can do it, by all means, you get to be a national champion, if not the national champion, because that's just that'd be such an accomplishment under the present circumstances. I mean, Florida State's backing out of games against Clemson because of a positive COVID player. That's how short the margins are. Wisconsin's only played 3 games this season because they've had to quarantine and contact trace, like across the board. We've seen this. Maryland hadn't played in 2 weeks. It's like that. So if you have enough games on the schedule where you can claim a national championship, I'm for it. Now, where I think it's going to be interesting is, what if you have a team that only plays 4 or 5 games, but is undefeated in those 4 or 5 games, and then can't play anymore because of COVID? If they claim a national championship like it's 1912, are we going to take it from them? Probably not. If that's what you want to do, by all means, go do that. Couldn't be me. I'm not here to just claim arbitrary national championships. Carl Joseph, that's right. Back from earlier when I was talking about West Virginia. Carl Joseph, thank you. Appreciate y'all. I just got to that part in the chat. If Texas loses this week, Herman has to be gone, right? I would tend to think so. Tom Herman got an opportunity to retool his entire coaching staff and still be the head coach. He got to add Mike Yurcich from Ohio State, add Chris Ash, who was fired at Rutgers, but who had been at Ohio State. He got to bring in the Indiana defensive line coach. He got to make all sorts of moves, and they put together an outstanding recruiting class once again. Bijan Robinson, I really, really love his game. Joshua Moore has come on. Brendan Eagles is still that dude. They added Tarek Black. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. They added Brandon Schooler. Like Caden Stearns, I keep wanting that dude to make the leap. Joseph Asai has been a maniac. yeah, you got to beat Iowa State and you got to get to the Big 12 championship game. Ideally, I would say Urban's on borrowed time if he doesn't win a Big 12 championship. And right now, he'd have to run the table. I don't see him doing it, but, anything's possible. I tend to believe he's gone, though. I do. Let me see. And I am an IU fan. Let me see. Somebody in here is talking. IU Bloomington not even ranked. In the Collie Matrix. Let me see. Let me check. Let me check. Indiana's ranked 39 in the Collie Matrix, just behind Wisconsin, who lost to Northwestern. Like, Memphis and Army also rank ahead of Indiana in case Indiana fans want to get pissed and mad. RJ, leave LSU alone. They mad at you. I mean, that's their fault. I told them that fat meat was greasy, and they didn't believe me. Nah, I'm going to be giving LSU fans all the smoke. All the smoke. All the smoke they gave me in August? You must be crazy. They going to get these licks. They going to get all these licks. What else got here? You need to worry about a star player sitting out the CFP. That's not good. I don't really care. Good video about Ohio State secondary. Kerry Combs needs to get his guys together before an undefeated Northwestern hears of them. So I made a segment before starting the live show about Ohio State secondary and how it ranks 115th in the country. They were number 1 last year. Now, you lose Jordan Fuller, you lose David Arnett, you lose Jeff Okudah. You're not going to be great, right? However, you do have Shaun Wade. Josh Proctor's a dude. And Sevyn Banks was supposed to be having one of the best, 50 practice preseason camps of all time. It's just not Kerry Combs' defense. It's Jeff Hafley's defense. I think it's funny, though, because, Ohio State fans were blaming Greg Schiano and Alex Grinch for their woes in 2018. And then they got one of their own back. Who y'all gonna blame now? Kerry Combs? Sounds like you should be blaming Kerry Combs. Let's see. Going to be loaded at quarterback the next 3 years. I mean, you better be. Although, you lose Kyle McCord or you lose Quinn Ewers or you lose Jack Miller, CJ Stroud. You're not going to keep them all. It's a fact of life. You lost Joe Burrow for much the same reason. What's going to suck is if you get Joe Burrowed again. If a Kyle McCord or a CJ Stroud or a Jack Miller decides they don't want to actually go through this anymore and they go to Arkansas and they decide to turn them into a world beater and win a national championship, y'all going to be salty. Why are people ragging on Joe Buck? I love Joe Buck. He's cool. Bro, I can't believe Penn State is this bad. I didn't expect this. 0-5 for the first time in program history, and Penn State has been playing football since 1887. That's like the Wild West. Like, the city of Tulsa wasn't even incorporated until 1898 and wasn't really thought of as a town site until 1882. I have all this Tulsa history, ready and made because I'm writing a book about Tulsa race massacre and basically Tulsa history. So I have all of that just on my head. Like, for instance, Henry Kendall College used to be in Muskogee, and then the rich white dudes that lived in Tulsa paid Henry Kendall College to move to Tulsa and rename itself University of Tulsa in the 20th century. Like, this city, man. This city just lives to think that it can buy everything. My God, Ohio State, slow down. Wow, this dude says Kerry Combs shouldn't be DC. Give back the reins to Mattinson, defense coordinator, to him. Combs made no adjustments to help OSU in the second half. I mean, he kept running man. He kept putting Baron Browning out there on Peyton Herndon and saying, cover him. Kept putting Pete Warner out there on David Ellis and said, cover him. Yeah, man, you can't run man with that personnel. You're going to have to run, if you want to run 4-3, which I think they do because I believe all three of those linebackers are going to get drafted in the first 4 rounds, you're going to have to run 2 high safeties. That's just what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to put Marcus Hooker and Josh Proctor, say, cover half, Because when y'all try to run the 4-2-5 and the cover 3 concept, y'all get cooked. Y'all get cooked. And you don't disguise your coverages. Like, it's really not that difficult if you're a decent quarterback. You remember what happened to Amir Reap? Who? I don't know who you're talking about. Let me see. What do we got here? Travis Alexander. The only thing keeping Wisconsin and Indiana upright and most of the B1G in the rankings was the 0 in the loss column. And an undefeated B1G champ will make the playoff, but any L before that sinks them. I don't know. I think the Big Ten champ gets in regardless. Like a one-loss Ohio State team is probably not going to happen. You get in the playoffs because that'd be an undefeated Northwestern team. I don't see Northwestern catching an L. Not the rest of the way. They've already beaten the toughest teams on their schedule. Spencer Rattler is showing that he can be a top quarterback in the NCAA. Matter of fact, I wrote something to that end on Insider that you should go check out about how Rattler asserted himself as the best quarterback in the Big 12 at a time when that title still felt like it was up for grabs based on how he had played in the years, in the games prior to this year. So, like, what I write? By the time the clock struck 0 at Owen Field, following the 18th ranked Oklahoma Sooners 41-13 win against number 14 Oklahoma State, OU quarterback Spencer Rattler had asserted himself for a claim to be the best quarterback in the league. Heading into the game, there was some doubt. Iowa State quarterback Brock Purdy runs the offense for the team atop the standings, and with a win against Rattler and the Sooners earlier this season. Texas quarterback Sam Ellinger returned as the most accomplished signal caller in the league to begin the 2020 season, and many thought OSU quarterback Spencer Sanders was just beginning to play the best football of his career. Before the game began, it was also clear that this Cowboys defense was the best OU had seen and probably would see all season. The Pokes are in year 3 with defense coordinator Jim Knowles, and many of his core players from a year ago returned across the board. The Cowboys were playing like they knew their scheme and trusted each other's experience and talent heading into Bedlam. After giving up an average of 26.8 points per game in 2019, the Pokes ramped up their scoring defense in 2020. OSU allowed just 17.8 points per game heading into Bedlam, tying for 6th best among FBS teams with at least 6 games played in scoring defense. Add to this, OSU had not given up a score on its opening defensive possession all year. So when Rattler and the Sooners scored on their opening possession and held a 21-0 lead with fewer 9 minutes into the game, many who picked OSU to win the Big 12 title, or like Fox Sports' Reggie Bush, even picking them to play in the college football playoff, were shocked, I tell you, to see just how Riley's offense was carving up Knowles' defense nearly a full week before Thanksgiving. Rattler cooked the secondary like the last package of ramen in the house. He completed 17-24 for 301 passing yards and 5 total touchdowns. 4 of those came through the air. Cowboys quarterback Spencer Sanders had 19 attempts. Shane Illingworth had 21 attempts, and they combined for just 168 yards against Alex Grinch's defense, while the Sooners finished 8 yards short of the jackpot, 492 total yards. Before quarterbacking a demolition of a Cowboys team that ranked as high as number 6 in the Associated Press poll, questions arose about how Rattler would respond to starting his second rivalry game. Less was said about how he helped finish a win against Texas that went into 4 overtimes than how he had received the hook in the second quarter of the game. Against OSU, he proved his poise, he displayed his resolve, and he recorded his 4th 300-yard passing performance in 8 games to boot. There was a vacuum to fill following the departure of yet another outstanding OU quarterback to the NFL in Jalen Hurts, and Rattler took his opportunity to leave no doubt where QBU is located. Thank you very much. Shout out to the new member, David Despus. If I'm mispronouncing that, please put it phonetically in the chat below. It's me and names. You understand. Let's see. And for those of y'all in the chat who aren't members, why aren't you members? Like, it's 99 cents. You're paying less than a cent a video. I make over 100 videos a month. Come on, man. Let's see what else we got in here. That team up north ain't been a dynasty since Fielding Yost was there. That was the leather helmet era before the forward pass was invented. I don't know about dynasty, but they at least won a national championship with Lloyd Carr. That's what you were expecting from Jim Harbaugh. That man seems to be on borrowed time. Amir Reep was a DB for Ohio State who pled guilty in a rape case earlier this year. Wow, I missed that totally. Didn't know anything about it. Why is Breece Hall a Heisman contender now? Because he's the best running back in college football? That's why? Him and Najee Harris. I go back and forth, right? Najee Harris plays on a better football team and plays a tougher schedule. Breece Hall has been ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Like, in a normal year, I like to think that he would be one of those dudes that we're talking about has an opportunity to rush for 2,000 yards. Matter of fact, I want to look up just how good that man has been through, I think, 8 games this season. Because, my God, I did not expect this from Breece Hall. I really didn't. I thought that Breece Hall might have been, the third best tailback at best coming in this season. And boy, was I ever wrong. Like, it's awesome what he's been doing. 146.1 yards he's averaging on 22.5 attempts. He's got 15 touchdowns. My goodness, man. Through 8 games. That's stupid. Like, Najee Harris has 16. That's how good he has been. And, just taking a look at the roster, Breece is running with that Adrian Peterson number 28. Look, he's got 1,169 yards on 8 games. Like, give him 300 yards over the next 2 games, and that gets him to just approaching 1,600 yards. And if you gave him 2 more games, like the Big 12 championship and the bowl game to follow, he could be a 2,000-yard back. It's on the table. Like, that's how good that man has been. So you will pay that man his respect. Like, that's who he has been. That's why he's a Heisman contender. And if he wasn't playing at Iowa State, we would totally be talking about him in that way. But we're not talking about him in that way because he plays at Iowa State. I said Bama was going to win a national championship in January, dog. You're not saying anything I haven't been saying. RJ, I know you said Ohio State being a national championship versus Alabama, but I don't see Ohio State getting out of the first round if they make it to the playoffs. Depends on who they draw. Like, if they draw Notre Dame, they got a shot. If they draw Clemson, they got a shot. They draw Alabama, probably not. But, we get Alabama versus Ohio State in the playoff as opposed to in the national championship. I think they have enough firepower to outscore both Clemson and Notre Dame, but that doesn't make them any different than Oklahoma a couple years ago, which is what I think Ohio State is turning into. They're turning into Oklahoma. They're turning into 2017, 2018, 2019 OU, where they're going to put up 40, 45, 60, and they're going to give up 35, 40, right? And it's just going to be who has the ball last. And that's not a great thing if you are an Ohio State fan. Matt Tucker! Matt, what's good, brother? Yeah, man, good to hear from you. That's the homie. That's the homie Matt in the chat. That's what's up. Let's see what we got. Najee Harris is the best offensive talent on Bama. Nah, it's Javonte Smith. Oh, man, is it Javonte Smith? Like, that's the thing, right? You can make an argument for both of those. Even as everybody was like, nah, it's Jalen Waddle. He's just hurt. I mean, I don't disagree with you. This Clemson dude really wants to talk about the Browns. Find somewhere else to talk about it, dog. I don't care. They're 7-3. Good for them. Good for them. Okay? Till they win a playoff game, I don't want to talk about them. And that way, it's kind of like my Cowboys. Who cares? I'm an OSU fan. I think I'd pick Oklahoma. OSU couldn't stop OU's air attack. Like I said, man, they're turning into 2018 Oklahoma with that horrible pass defense. RJ, Najee's numbers are better than Derrick Henry's numbers when he won the Heisman. You mean Christian McCaffrey's Heisman? You mean that Heisman? You mean that Heisman? Keep it 100, dog. Everybody knows Christian McCaffrey ought to won that Heisman trophy. Derrick Henry shouldn't have had that. Let me see. Let's see what we got in here. I love what Grinch is doing with our defense. I mean, it was touch and go there. I'm glad you like it now. I discussed why BYU is dodging Washington earlier in the show, dog. You're going to have to back it up. I mean, we could talk about CeeDee Lamb also breaking Bob Hayes' record there, dog. Like, that record stood for 55 years. And there were a bunch of great catches in that game. Adam Thielen made an outstanding catch in that game. Also, Adam Thielen went to Minnesota State. That's a D2 school with no football tradition. And he was undrafted in 2013. Playmakers are everywhere, right? And I'm really looking at the Eagles passing on Justin Jefferson and going, why? Y'all are stupid. Like, that's just ridiculous. Sucks when the Cowboys division leader is 3-6-1. I mean, you're not wrong. It's not fun. Seriously, the only thing stopping Najee from being a top 5 pick is he doesn't have top end speed. I mean, neither did Zeke Elliott, and he was number 4 to my Cowboys. Like, it's there for you. It's just Najee's also going to be coming out with Travis Etienne and Chuba Hubbard. Like, it's another loaded running back class, right? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, let me look up what Javonte Williams is doing, because Javonte Williams is quietly having one of those outstanding seasons as well. Because, yeah, that man is going to be one of the top running backs in that class too. You know, he's got 868 yards rushing on 120 attempts. Like, averaging 7.2 yards per attempt. And if he was not splitting carries, he probably would be closer to 1,000 yards. Like, he's been that good. Coming out of Wallace, North Carolina, stand up. So, there's a number of great tailbacks in eligible for the draft this year. But that's kind of the thing. It's like, you want to get them when they're rookies, and you want to let them go after their rookie deals. You know, if you can get you a Todd Gurley for a couple of years, send him on his way. That's what you're going to do. Let's see. UW smacked BYU last year in Provo. That's why. I mean, that's probably got something to do with it. Do you think, let me see. Do you think what? I'm looking for it, dog. I missed it. Chat kept moving on me. Somebody was asking about Texas. I got to find it. Let me see. Chat keeps moving on me. Does OU want Texas or ISU in the Big 12 championship? It's a good question. Today, I think you want Texas in the Big 12 championship game. You want Texas because they're more likely to give you the ball back. Iowa State's going to run the ball. They're going to control it. Brock Purdy's not likely to throw it to you. And if they just play sound fundamental football and their drop 8 defense with John Haycock, they got an opportunity to win the game. They've also proven that they can score 38 on you. Texas, with Sam Ellinger, they're going to give you the ball back. Like, he's going to throw it to you, or they're going to put it on the floor. Either way, you want the team that's more likely to turn the ball over. Iowa State's much more sound fundamental team. As a matter of fact, Iowa State has taken over that mantle of Kansas State, right? Which is the Farmageddon team that everybody hates playing. That's who they're becoming. It's going to be a shame when Matt Campbell's the next head coach in Michigan. It's going to be an absolute shame. Don't know how y'all are going to deal with it up there at Iowa State. It's going to be awful. Najee's not Alvin Kamara. That is Travis Etienne. RG, do you see any of Kamara Wheaton and Breece Hall? What? What? No. Can't even begin to unpack that, dog. No. Two very different tailbacks. No, I think you're just trying to get Kamara Wheaton into your consciousness, which is fine. Just, put it in a different question. As an OSU fan, I will cry if Justin goes to Dallas. I mean, I've already once said I want Eric Bieniemy and Justin Fields to be, the brain trust at Atlanta. But I'm not going to turn down nothing but my collar if Justin Fields gets to Dallas. Like, I'm a Dak Prescott truther. I get the dude blew out his ankle. It might not be the same. I also think that if you can get a quarterback on a rookie deal that's good and you have opportunities to do some more stuff with your money, you might do that. They've said that Dak's the guy. I believe them when they say that because they're stubborn. But Justin Fields is that dude, and I would love to see him in Dallas. Though there's a bunch of y'all that are like, Trevor Lawrence, Dallas! Like, nah, man, I'm good. He'll make a bunch of money. It'll be good for Jerry World. But I like Justin Fields more than I like Trevor Lawrence. That said, if Trevor Lawrence ended up at Dallas, I'd be fine with it. It's fine. It's good. Yes, Joe Burrow is going to be fine, dog. It's a blown ACL. It's not the end of the world. What else we got in here? Trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to discuss with y'all before we shut it down. Let me see. I'm every woman. It's all in me. Anything you want now, baby. I'm every woman. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Got in here. Trevor to the Panthers. Gross. Teddy Bridgewater's fine. So is Phil Walker. Send Trevor to Jacksonville. How about that? Do that. So does Iowa State versus Texas make a difference for OU in the championship? I already answered that question. Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn really got Urban Meyer blushing on Fox about the Texas job. Hey, man, they want him. If he wants them back, Texas fans ain't going to turn down nothing but they call it. They want that Ohio State magic, baby. That's why Tom Herman's there. That's why Chris Ash is there. That's why Mark Gersich is there. They want the magic, man. They want the Urban Meyer experience. Everything that happened in Florida, everything that happened in Ohio State, they want that in Texas. I don't blame them. I got it. RJ, do you ever do brunch time pods just to do early Corona lockdown? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Do you think Shaun Wade is still worth a first-round pick after these past few games? Yeah, he had the pick 6 to kind of show that. I think there's more he wants to put on tape, but, yeah. Jahan Dotson has been sunning everybody. That's the only time I've seen him actually get torched for the entire game. So, yeah, I think so. And, because corners and safeties are really, corners more than safeties are harder to come by. Yeah. And he wanted to show that he could play outside corner, though I think somebody's going to put him in the slot. Hey, RJ, you always have cool stuff behind you. Could we get a studio tour at some point? Yeah, maybe. I won't rule that out. I meant, what? Oh, would I ever do them again? Yeah, I would. I just haven't wanted to do it here of late because I've gotten a little unruly in the chat because I got a bunch of people showing up here to tell me that the coronavirus is a lie and that masks are worthless, and I'm just not here for that. I'm on the other side of that discussion, and I don't put up with a whole lot of discussion on the matter. With his limited showcase, would you consider DJ Uiagalelei a top 5 college quarterback right now? Yes, I would. You know why? Because I can only think of 2 places where he won't start. One of them is the place that he is actually playing quarterback at, right? The other one is in Ohio State. And you can make an argument about Alabama, but he'd start there too, right? I'd say that. Bryce Young had been starting there, so maybe that's 3, right? That's 3. Depending on how you feel about Ian Book, that's 4. That's it, right? So that's 4 out of the top 5 teams in America. So, yeah, 100%. See what we got. Sam Ellinger, sadly, is barely a second rounder. Sam Ellinger might not get drafted. You don't understand. That man gets drafted as a H-back, as a tight end, maybe even as a tailback. I don't think he gets drafted as a quarterback, though. I really don't, man. He's not looking good. Do you think Zaven Collins is a first-round pick? It's possible. The way that Zaven Collins has been playing, he could also win the Bednarik Award, if not the Butkus Award. Best defensive player, best linebacker in the country, respectively. Because the way that man has been the talisman for my Tulsa Golden Hurricane, say that tongue-in-cheek, has been outstanding, man. Hominy is out here showing out. Zaven Collins is that dude. Let me see. What do we got? Did Bridges have more than one violation? I don't think so, dog. He was pretty loud about it on Twitter, saying he's been tested a bunch of times since being suspended, and Ronnie Perkins and Ramondre Stevenson apparently have been cleared to play, and he hasn't. I don't know what it's going to take for him to be eligible, because at this point it's no longer funny. It's just annoying and angering. And when you got Lincoln Riley whetting everybody's appetite saying his game is similar to Tylan Wallace. You really want to see him out there and developing. So, I mean, that's what's up. Dude says, yo, RJ, big fan, first live show. Hey, congratulations for being here. Appreciate that. Let me see. Brian Zelaski says, virus ain't no lie, is exactly right. No people who have died from it. Mask won't hurt. Don't know if it helps either. Like, that's the other part that I get, right? Or that I don't get. Even if you don't believe in wearing a mask, do it to make us feel better. You know? Even if you don't believe racism exists, and it does, act as if it does. Okay? Like, it's about decency, right? It's about humility. It's about people are more important than you. It's about not being self-centered. Let's see. How about Tulsa this year? Yeah, I mean, like, I thought that Phil Montgomery's going to be fired if he didn't show out this year. And they have 2 top 25 wins. First time that's ever happened in the same season in program history. And they're ranked inside the top 25 for the first time since 2010. I graduated from Tulsa in 2010. It's been that long. Let's see. Weed shouldn't even be on a test. It shouldn't, but it was. So there it is. Dude says he's a Panthers fan. Okay, Eric Reed, stand up. Let's see what we got. Like Steve Crathorte and Todd Graham, do you think bigger schools will try to hire Philip Montgomery? Bro, I hope so. Like, I am not the dude that's buying into Philip Montgomery to stay at Tulsa forever. I've never been that guy. I think he's cool. He's all right. But I'm not going to turn down nothing but my collar if they decide that he wants to move on. Rhett Lashley is out there. Hello? I mean, you got dudes. Bill Beatonbow is right over there at OU. It ain't like nobody else wants the job, okay? Let that man walk if that's what he wants to do. Show some love for Sooners, No Limit Speed D, holding no. I mean, dude, you just got here. What did I end up talking about? Let's see. I think Tulsa gives Cincinnati a run for their money. I still don't think they win, but I think it's a run for their money, and I think that's all you can ask for right now. There's a run for their money. West Virginia defense about to give Rattler hell. Okay, dog. Okay. Penn State fires Franklin. Who can they get better? They better keep him. I mean, it's not just that. They owe him $38 million if they fire him. That's his buyout, which is stupid. You owe that man $40 million after an 0-5 start. No, they stuck with him. They're 100% stuck with him. Man, dudes is showing up late to the chat asking the same questions that I've addressed. Let's see. With Graham doing good, is Davis getting his job back? And what's up with Rambo? I think Rambo's just having an off year. And Marvin Mims is really that good. And Theo Weiss is really that good. As for Davis and Graham, I think you're still going to see a battle out there. Like, I like the idea of having dudes that you can throw in 4 at a time. Because, like, Trey Brown was getting picked on. And Trey Brown has been getting picked on all year. So maybe you want to move one of those dudes to the other side. Because I get that he's your senior leader. But damn. Something got to give. They keep throwing at you for a reason. No, I like having 4 or 5 dudes that we can play a corner. Jaden Davis, Woody Washington, Kendall Dennis if he can get there, Josh Eaton if he can get there to go along with DJ Graham. Like, I like that. Click Clack says, excited for your book. Have you considered putting it on tape when you release it? Actually, the rights to the audio book have already been sold. And it will come out the same time that the book comes out, which I think is going to be like fall 2022. Did BYU decline a match offer from Washington State? Washington State has the coronavirus. They can't play. Etienne is the guy. Najee is second. That's coming from a Bama fan, too. Let me see. Do we have anything else I want to get to? Do you think the college football playoff should go to 8 teams? Carlos, I believe that you're new to the channel, and I will refer you to the comments. I will refer you to the chat. They will fill you in. We keep RJ for 2 hours live. Maybe one day, right? Maybe when there's somebody that's sponsoring the live show and I'm not just doing it because I love y'all and I like doing this stuff live. It's fun. It's also a mean flex because I'm using this DSLR. I got the lamp. I got this really expensive national sports talk radio quality mic. It's a flex, and I like doing it. And sometimes y'all are cool. Like today, y'all are really cool. Must be the noon crowd or something. I don't know. Usually we do this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. OSU over Bama. Bama only has one receiver. Nah, dog. Bama got not just Javonte Smith. They got Slade Bolden. They got Miller Forstall. And they got John Mechie. They're cold. They're good. They're going to light you up. It's about, can you light them back up? Can you win a 45-42 game? Oh, Ohio State could. I don't think Ohio State wants to do that. You want to go into that thing and thinking that you're going to have an opportunity to stop that offense with your defense. Have you seen Haynes King? I'm a big Haynes King fan. I think he's going to be pretty good when he gets an opportunity to play the position next year. I liked him coming out of Longview. Anybody that can run 50 point in the 400 meters and still play quarterback gets a seal of approval from me. All right. That is going to do it for this live show. If you like the show, please subscribe to the channel. Upload a video every single day, 4 times a day most of the time, right? At noon, at 3, at 5, and at 6 local time. Or download the RJ Young Show podcast on wherever it is you get your podcast. Upload there twice a week. Nobody's sponsoring the podcast, so it's like commercial free, which is like a rarity in these days. So if you're over there, please leave a 5-star review, and I will check y'all out here in, a few hours. And with that, I will say, deuces.